verses. Bim, bum, bim, 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 bum. Bim, 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 bum. Yai-da-dai-da-dai-dai, bim, bum. Bim, 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 bum. Bim, 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 bum. Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom. Bim bam, bim 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 bam, bim 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 bam, yai da dai 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 bim bam, bim 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 bam, bim 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 bam.
It's a brisk summer evening, isn't it? Refreshing and keeping us going. How many of us turned on the heat this week? Right? I did. I admit it. Oh my gosh. Well, we can bring warmth into our lives as we come together as a community. And so that means you got to find someone you're sitting near who you may or may not know and introduce yourself to them. Be making this time for us as a community. Wish them a Shabbat Shalom. Amy, it's good you're meeting them. It's really impressive.
שבטחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים. שבטחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים. שבטחים גם יחד, הנה טוב ומה נעים. שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים. שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים. שבת אחים גם יחד, שבת אחים גם יחד.
Jungle Gym over there, it's good. Well, as we begin our Shabbat, it's always nice to prove when Rabbi Daniel's not here we have a nice crowd, right? So get a selfie of this moment for us. Can't really do it though, right? Let's get a scanner of me. I don't know, it doesn't really come out. I have two, whenever I'm with Rabbi Daniel, we let him do this because he's got much longer arms.
Gotta get you
I have
this
Jewish
stick.
arms, you know. This guy's like short. But we're not a selfie generation, honestly. Like, you know, us here. Maybe a few here are more. But it's interesting thinking of selfies. I was talking to some of our 7th graders or younger children, and as they're looking at their photos and how many pictures they have of themselves and fixing those pictures and changing how it looks and stuff, and I asked them, you know, do you ever go a day without taking a picture of yourself? And they're like, no. Incredulously. Really? Right. And in thinking about it, you know, how does the world look if it's filled with so many pictures of ourselves, right? What effect do all of these selfies, these pictures have on our kids as they do that? What happens to our self-esteem if we worry too much about how we appear only to others and what we portray? And actually, in this week's Torah portion, that's the same thing that happens. Okay, they didn't have selfies. But Moses sends the 12 scouts into the promised land, across the river Jordan, and they're to reconnoiter, they're to look around and scout it out and bring back a report to Moses and the leaders and the people of Israel of what they find, right? And they come back and they say, it's magnificent land, right? It's flowing with milk and honey, the eshkol of grapes. An eshkol of grapes is actually there's a bunch of grapes, but the tourism symbol of Israel, with the men holding a bunch of grapes that's so large that it's like, it has to be held by two people, that's the eshkol of grapes. I can tell you a story about that afterwards in Tish if you want, but that's where it comes from, this Torah portion. So magnificent are the fruits and the things that are there, but, they say, the people who live there, to them, we look like grasshoppers. They're so big that in their eyes we look like grasshoppers. How could they possibly know how they appeared to the Canaanites? They didn't talk to them. They didn't ask them. They said, in their eyes, we look like Canaanites. We look like grasshoppers. They didn't know. But they worry about this. They become obsessed about this so much that it distracts them from their chosen task of what they were going to do. And they bring that report back, and the people of Israel are all nervous now. Why did you bring us here, Moses, so that we're going to die because we're just grasshoppers? The Hasidic Rebbe, Menachem Mendel of Kutz, imagines God asking them, why are you so concerned about how you look in the eyes of the Canaanites to the point that it distracts you from your sacred task? When we turn inward too much, we lose sight of not only what's happening around us, but the needs of those around us. And our sacred task as a people is to better our world, to ease the pain of those closest to us as well, and lift them even higher when they rejoice. If we worry about how we appear to others only, we forget about the needs of others. What does the psalmist say when we read the 121st Psalm? I lift my eyes to the mountains. Where does my help come from? My help comes from God, maker of heaven and earth. That we're turning a camera outward to look to the world for inspiration, and there find God's light. I wonder if the solution is that simple, staring back at us. All we got to do is use the selfie button a little less. It's the response of others and the response to others that help us make our world whole. I was thinking of that and thinking of someone this week and reading something about how a great photographer doesn't look at themselves, but they look at the world differently than anyone else can. They see things that makes their photographs come to life and help us gain perspective. And that's a blessing when someone gives us that gift in how we see things. So as we begin Shabbat tonight, I ask you not to think of yourself as a grasshopper, not to think of yourself how someone else might imagine or you think someone else might imagine, but to think of others, to look outward, see the blessings that are in a community coming together, the blessings that are around us in our world. Maybe close your eyes for a moment. Take a deep breath in through our nose and out through our mouth. Think of what we see in the world that is a blessing and how it can give us strength in what's there with us. And how we maybe give strength to others and what we're able to do. In a hug that's given, in the kindness that's shared, in a memory that's recounted, in the warmth that we feel, even when it's brisk out like this. Ese enai aharim me'ayin yavo ezri. Ezri me'im Adonai oseh shamayim va'aretz. I lift my eyes to the heavens. Where does my help come from? My help comes from that which is beyond me, maker of heaven and earth.
El Harim Esa Enai El Harim Me'ayin Yavo Yavo Esri Me'ayin Yavo Yavo Esri Me'ayin Yavo Yavo Esri Me'ayin Yavo Yavo Esri. Where will my help come from? Where will my help come from? My help will come from God, maker of heaven and earth. My help will come from God, maker of heaven and earth. Esa Enai, Esa Enai, Esa Enai, El Harim, El Harim, Esa Enai, El Harim, Me'ayin Yavo, Yavo Esri, Me'ayin Yavo, Yavo Esri, Me'ayin Yavo, Yavo Esri, Me'ayin Yavo, Yavo Esri.
Part of our Shabbat is to help us with our intention, our focus on what we look to in our world and what we find as the blessings that are there in our lives, our daily lives. Even in the midst of the challenges that surround us, even in the midst of pain we may feel in a moment, to realize we have one another, we have community, we have blessings that are there for us to feel and to know. So all our prayers are there as a rubric to sort of hang that hat on and to help us with. Because they're what's familiar, what we know, and what we can join together in song with as well. So with that in mind, as a Kaya service, an outdoor meditation service, we share stories, we meditate, we sing prayers. And so as a community now, we can rise if we're so able as we come together for the call to worship.
שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד. שמע ישראל אדוני אלוהינו אדוני אחד. שמע ישראל אדוני אלוהינו אדוני אחד.
Please be seated.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu Shalom v'hamidenu malkeinu l'chaim. Let us lie down in peace, God, and permit us to wake up in the security of knowing we're safe and loved. Be a shield around us to keep enemies, disease, violence, homelessness far away from those we love. A lot of brilliance in our tradition that was passed down to us. A recognition of the precarious nature in our lives and our world, and what we understand and what we absolutely do not understand. The questions that life makes us ponder every day when things happen that don't necessarily fit together and make sense. And so the ancients gave us opportunities to sort of think about, well, what matters most? If I can focus on what is most important in this moment, the gift that is there with me right now, things I can control in my life, then I can sense the blessings that are there. Yeah, to make the most of the moment, but to recognize there are things that we cannot control, things that we don't understand. And so our blessing is to focus on those things that we can. The love that we feel and that we can share with one another, the kindness that we're able to bring to our world despite what some people might do to us. The goodness that does exist within one another, within humanity, that's implanted within each one of us. And what they were saying, I think, the ancients, is when we do that, then we understand that we have a soul. We know that our soul does exist. Yes, there are some who may question that, but they said if we're in touch with the goodness that's inside each of us, that's that divine spark, the soul that God has placed in each of us. That's the blessing that is there for us to notice. And Shabbat is that time to notice it a little more, to be a little more aware of what is within us, and to realize that we have a gift that we bring to this world. Too often we beat ourselves up and find Again, looking at that selfie, the flaws. Notice things that aren't perfect in our own self. I look at a selfie, I sometimes see that bald spot on my head. Why are you laughing? I didn't know it was noticeable. Do you notice things that I didn't notice before? But when you just think about the goodness that you do have, not the image, but the reality of that which is there and what you bring to our world, you realize what you can control and what you hope for tomorrow as well, to bring that blessing out, to celebrate that in our life, and to see that as a gift.
Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. There be love. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship, let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu, Hashkivenu Leshalom V'ha'amidenu Malkeinu L'chayim Ufros Aleinu Sukkot Shlomecha. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Be our shelter from life's storms. Be our shelter from life's storms.
Usually we don't have to talk and we just know what's going to happen, but just had a thought. Cool? No? Well, as we come to our central prayers of worship, the Amidah, I said we use the prayer as a rubric, what we know, and how many of us think of what we're saying as we chant the Avot, the Imahot, and the Atah Gibor? We sort of just go through the motions, and it's sort of comfort as well. A prayer we know well, or a prayer that the melody is something we're familiar with. And I think, the idea of that is to lift us into some greater thoughts, some deeper thoughts. The Avot, it says, we thank God, the God of Abraham, God of Isaac, God of Jacob, God of Sarah, God of Rachel, God of Leah, God of Rebecca. The idea that each of our ancestors had this relationship with God, something different they understood and found meaning in as well. But part of the prayer is in the repetition of that as well. Understanding that they didn't always understand God either. They were trying to figure it out as they went along. And, I think that when we chant prayers, when we repeat things over and over, it becomes almost a mantra for us. And I love the mystical teaching that says that when we're in meditation, when we're in prayer, when we're fully in there, whatever enters our mind, Gam Zeh Kadosh, this too is holy. Whatever it is, we can't always control those thoughts. I know, a squirrel, I really have issues at times controlling those thoughts and where my mind might be. I affirm myself as I say, Gam Zeh Kadosh, this too is holy. But honestly, the idea of like where the prayer takes us, where the melody takes us, where it lifts us up, right? As a part of that as well. So as we, enter our prayers of meditation, we begin with this poem that is a reminder of Shabbat bringing something into our week, into our time, as a way to count time, a way to notice time. The poem by Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel that our friend Dan Nichols put to music, that Cantor sings beautifully, that tells us, there's a thought that is waiting there for us, that brings Shabbat to our presence. And for us now is a chance to find what the thought brings to us in this moment in time.
The thought has blown the marketplace away. There is a song on the wind and joy in the trees. Shabbat has arrived in the world, scattering the song in the silence of the night, and eternity utters a day, and eternity utters a day. Blown the marketplace away. There's a song on the wind. There is a song on the wind. Joy in the trees and joy in the trees. Shabbat has arrived. Shabbat has arrived in the world, scattering the song in the silence of the night, and eternity a day, and eternity utters a day.
Please rise.
Adonai siftai tiftachu fi yagid tehilatecha. Eternal God, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your glory. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avoteinu ve'imoteinu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Leah, Elohei Rachel, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, V'koneh HaKol, V'zocher Chastei Avot Ve'imahot, U'mevi Geula Livnei B'neihem, Lema'an Shemo B'Yahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen. Baruch atah Adonai Magen Avraham ve'Ezrat Sarah, atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, mechayei hakol atah Rav lehoshia, morid hatal, mechalkel chayim bechesed, mechayei hakol ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא שני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
As we link our thoughts and our prayers with those in need of healing and strength with the Mishaberach, we heard a siren just now. And Rabbi Telushkin teaches something that, for those who live in New York City or any city, you're woken in the middle of the night all the time hearing sirens and you get frustrated with that. He said, but as Jews, we're actually commanded to say a prayer when we hear a siren. Say, may they get to where they need to be in time to help those who are in need. Sort of a Mishaberach in its own sense. That we change our perspective. Rather than being frustrated at what we hear, realizing that we're hearing something because, thank God, someone's on the way to go do some help, to be there for someone. So even our outdoor services, we've lost some trees in the ice storms of March, and we see a little more street. We're getting new landscaping, don't worry, we're adding to it. It's part of the project. So do our thoughts turn to those in need of healing and strength. As we connect with Torah on Shabbat, so do we bring Torah into our midst now and reach out and touch it and mention names of who we're thinking of in our prayers. Mishaberach Avotenu Avraham Yitzchak v'Yaakov v'imu Tenu Sarav Kalei Avrachel Hu Yivarech et Cholim, merciful God, who's blessed our ancestors Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Leah, and Rachel. Send your blessings to those in need, those friends and family we think of at this time. Alyssa Ohoto, Amy Drysdale Atler, Suzanne Becker, Fran Bernstein, Wendy Bratt, Michael Brody, Tivia Kayla Bat Yosef Zippa, Karen Kasman, Patty Serezny, Ian Cohen, Michael Eisen, Sandra Elliott, Barbara Esrick, Alan Droz, Carl Fisher, Carol Fruman, Ann Gotro, Batia Esha Panina, Arthur Greenback, Eileen Gunsberg, Enid Gutter, Ava Haberkornholm, Ty Hall, Hank Heiser, Donna Marie Hawk, Eloise Haas, Carol Kaufman, Chaya Abiba Abegla, Karen Coltoneau, Marta Lazar, Gertrude Levin, Zev Lorber, Zoe Marcus, Laureen, and Sean Majeski, Heather Michelle, Gail Mintz, Lev Herschel, and Ba'ami, Reza Batlea Miriam, Eileen Porcelli, Rachel Mibet Chaim Bechama, Eve Rader, Sam Rader, Marcy Fisher Reiners, Rabbi Joseph Rosenzweig, Bruce Rubin, Reuben Yaakov, and Esther Chana, the St. Amman family, Stephen Siegel, Bernard Sklar, Roberta Sanino, Jerry Starn, Jerry Steinberg, Guy Stern, Susanna Stern, Lazar Ben Etel, Harit Zapata, Carol Zumberg, and all the names in our hearts. Baruch atah nar v'acholim. Bless you, God, and give strength to those in need.
The source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say משבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשה כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
We come together for Shabbat for a lot of reasons, but one thing we know is that the idea of mentioning names of those we have loved and those we still love is a part of what brings us together. The idea of Yortzeit, the idea of Shloshim, the idea of saying Kaddish, it sort of gives us something to do when we're not sure what else to say. And of course, Kaddish in no way mentions death. It gives thanks for the gift of life. And it's a reminder, even in the pain of loss, we give thanks for those who've been a part of our lives, our world, even when their lives have been cut short, and the blessing in that. Part of the brilliance of our tradition as well is that we don't say this prayer alone, standing by ourselves. We say this prayer surrounded by a community, together with others, so that some of that pain that we may feel is lifted, so that we know in our journeys, even though for each of us it may be unique, that we're still surrounded by others who go through that as well and experience that too. And we gain strength in having that sense of community and a family and of love. In that spirit, we think of those who've been taken from our midst, our community in this past week and month who Shloshim we mark, friends and family of our community. Jerry Margolis, Dan Lippett, Idris Sachs, Vicki Ann Bell, Betty Smith, Roger Blau, Winifred Wexler. And linking their names and names is Yortzeits we mark on the Shabbat. Those anniversary of passing we lovingly commemorate. Molly Alpert, Nathan Aronoff, William Barron, Zelda Blackman, Vicki Buckfire, Marilyn Efrasy, Mary Alice Golowski, Stanley Halpern, Henrietta Harris, Teddy Leopold, Alice Levine, John Mahakian, Sally Milgram, Marlene Miller, Max Miller, Betty Nosenchuk, Faye Perlman, Bill Pittler, Herbert Reinheimer, Jerry Sharfing, Rita Seidman, Giorgio Sunino, Elaine Sirach Sat, Samuel Stolovich, Valerie Thurston, Marie Walker, Dorothy Ziegelman, Loretta Ziegelman. And linking in their names to all names that we do not recite on the Shabbat, those of every faith and every family whose lives have touched ours, as well as those who have no one to stand and say Kaddish for them. Till we join together now in the immortal words of the mourner's Kaddish. Yikadal v'yikadash shemei Rabbah, bi'alma divrach chirate bi'almich machute, b'chayechon of yomechon chayedecho beit Yisrael, b'gala u'bizman kariv imru. Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mavarach elam amaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitraman v'yitnaseh, bin Adar, bin Alet, bin Allah, Shemei Kudisha, Barichu, Lela Minko Birchata Bashirata, Tush Bachata Benechamata, Tatmaram Biama Bimru, Amen. Yehi Shlomo Rabba Min Shemaya, V'chaim Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'imru, Amen. Oseh Shalom B'mromav, Hu Ya'aseh Shalom, Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'imru. The source of peace, and peace to those who mourn, comfort to those who are bereaved, here and everywhere. And let us say, Amen.
Oseh Shalom B'mromav, Hu Ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael Ve'imru Amen. Oseh Shalom B'mromav, Hu Ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael Ve'imru Amen. Ya'aseh Shalom, Ya'aseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh Shalom, Ya'aseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh Shalom, Ya'aseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh Shalom, Ya'aseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh Shalom, Ya'aseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael. Already a question.
I have some announcements first. Yes. A few special things to share. On our calendar, next Friday night is a special Oneg, and it's also our Pride Shabbat. We'll have a couple special speakers with us. Our state senator, Noah Arbit, and one of our high school graduates, Amanda Yacy, will be speaking. So exciting to be a part of that. And our second annual Pride Shabbat. I'm glad we can do that and have a nice Oneg together afterwards. Our annual meeting at Temple Shir Shalom, which I know everyone never comes to, is on, that's a sign of a well-run congregation, just so you know that things are going nicely, right? So June 27th is that, but we do need proxies, so if you can fill those out so that we can like say, oh yeah, these new people can become board members now, it's great. And we welcome them as well. Someone asked earlier, the camping trip, the Shir Shalom camping trip for adults and for families is August 11th through 13th, that weekend, that Shabbos. So, and you can come up just for Shabbat if you want to, because it's not too far away. I think in Holly, right? Holly, yeah. See how much I know. So, okay, you have a question for Tish? The grapes. Oh, you want to hear about the Eshkol? So, there was, anyone ever drink Trefethen wine? Trefethen wine's a Napa wine. It's a lovely wine. So I was visiting their winery, their vineyard in 1997, I think it was. And so it was January, so it was really quiet. So I got like a private tour. It was cool. And they have the line in there, Firestone used to be the family that owned this vineyard. So we see some Jewish roots there, okay? And so, and there was, it said something about, and their lower end wine is called Eshkol. I don't think it exists anymore, but it was, like $20 a bottle instead of $50 a bottle, the Eshkol. I said, Eshkol? I said, well, it's Hebrew. And I said, correct? He's like, well, yes, it is. He's like, I said, yeah. He goes, well, do you know where it's from? I said, yeah, of course I do. It's from the book of, right, the book of Numbers and Deuteronomy. It's talked about, and he's like, what are you, some biblical scholar or something? And my wife says, well, sort of. So, and so then we had this great conversation, and so that's why this Jewish family years ago named it Eshkol, their bottles that they were making of wine. And so they invited me to come back for the next season for the blessing of the vineyard. They have a priest come every year. I thought it would be great to have a rabbi come as well. And I was going to bless the vineyard. I had to pay my own way and put myself up. So I said, that's not how it works. I said, if you want me to do the blessing, this rabbi can be bought. And as Daniel taught me, and we stay bought. Best rabbis money can buy. So the Eshkol, I always had this affinity, but Trefton is actually a lovely wine too. So just if you ever see that out there, it's really developed nicely. I don't know. These old, yes. We were just talking about, because the Leifer, all three children are at Golden Union Camp this summer for the next 4 weeks, which is great. Rabbi Daniel will go down second session. I am not going this summer. Though we have 3 of our high school kids. Your granddaughter is there. Is she leaving on Monday for Israel? So they're going yeah? So we have a number of kids who are going on the Golden Union Camp Israel trip. I am going to Israel in 3 weeks. I'm going to Israel with Tamarack's teen leadership trip, which are the rising seniors in high school. So they're leaving on Monday, and I bring them home. I go there for the last 10 days of the trip. You found me in Israel. You sure I didn't find you? So you always run into people in Israel, right? It was December. It was one of our family trips we were on. Yeah. You always run into people in Israel. You know why? Because we're Jews. We always find each other. Wherever you go, there's always someone Jewish. You're never alone when you say you're a Jew. Yes. I did take a selfie, but the selfie wasn't as much of me. I take selfies all the time. I use it as an illustration. Come on. Never let the truth get in the way of a good story, okay? Come on. I did, but I did it with me and other people, not just of me. When I went to the protest, I wanted to see the protest, and I was proud that I was there too. Right? Speaking of being proud of things, it's a special person's birthday today, actually June 16th, and that person is my mom. But it's also Flo's birthday. Yeah, Flo Paterni. You're right. It's Flo. Come here, Flo. You're going to help us tonight. It's Flo Paterni's birthday, and so you can ask her what number it is. I'm not going to say that, but a 71. But it's nice. Whenever we have simcha, we have joy. It's good. We can celebrate together. So with that in mind, if you'll hold this kiddush cup here, yes, and we'll join together with Cantor as we give thanks for the sweetness of the wine and of Shabbat, and the sweetness of a good friend who is in our midst and brings blessings to us all the time. And so, mazel and joy that you get to share with us, and we get to be a part of that flow. So thank you for wanting to be a part of our service tonight and letting us share in your joy and your mazel. Because she's just had another grandchild that was born a few weeks ago, too.
Bubby squared.
Yeah. She's got lots of good mazel. So,
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Amen. For Flo and anybody else that likes this. Lechina to a land that I will show you. Lech lecha. Lech lecha, to a place you do not know, to a place you do not know. Lech ilach, on your journey I will bless you, and you shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing.
That's Flo's favorite song, so she asked. All you gotta do is ask, and we do. We take care of all our members at Temple Shir Shalom.
And I shall make your name great.
And
I shall make your name great. Lech lecha. Lech lecha, and all shall praise your name, and all shall praise your name. Lech ilach, to the land that I will show you, to the land that I will show you. Lesimchat חיים, לשמחת חיים, לשמחת חיים, לשמחת חיים, לחינך. And you shall be a blessing.
And you shall be a blessing.
You shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing.
Happy birthday, Flo. And being our Shabbat, we have challah here. I need my friends Shana and Reed to come on and help me. Shana and Reed, come on down for the challah blessing, right? They should know their little brother Eli was here at Temple today for our Bim Bam baby, and we made challah, and this is the challah that your brother Eli made. It's a delicious challah. Look at this one that Eli made. Look.
Come on over.
Come on, guys. You ready to join? You hold that?
Ready to help?
Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. We give thanks to God
for bread.
Our voices rise in song together as our joyful prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Okay, you want to each take half of the challah? You want to tear it in half? Here, take a big. Come on, take half of it.
Take a chunk.
Right there.
Good job.
Okay. But you have to go share that with other people. Take more. Well, okay. We'll just pass around. My assistants. I'll pass around our challah if you want to take that around a little bit. Oh, you're gonna get working? Wasn't there something passed in the Senate about child labor laws? Is that? Yes, Joe? Mm-hmm. Yes, I did.
It's true.
Yeah. Well, I'll say what Joan said, especially in the microphone, that about George Osino's yahrzeit it was, and it must be like 25th yahrzeit or so, or 20. I mean, it's been a number of years. 24th, I don't know. But because his children sometimes are watching on with us as well. Roberta's often watching and part of services. So, Joan wanted to make mention that the Ark there was his construction, as a number of things we had in our from the office building on, and part of those founding members, and did all put their hard work and energy into creating our community. Yeah, it was nice. It was actually interesting. Some of us were here last week and talking about in the Oneg in the new social hall, our reveal of the beautiful new social hall, and talking about that as well, and that we need to record our history, right? You know, because I wasn't here in 1988, and part of those really those first 10 families of like the Bingmans and the Nosenchucks, who before Daniel really got people together and then went to Daniel saying we want to create something, who really gave their heart and soul to become who we are today in our community. And we're indebted to that because we have a vibrant, amazing synagogue community today. And yeah, we should all feel proud about that and excited about what we're going to get to see soon in our addition too. So yeah, it's all really a blessing. So with that in mind, let us rise together for our closing benediction. May God bless you. May God protect you. May God's light shine upon you and shine through you. May God always be a part of who we are as individuals, as a community, helping us see the strengths, the gifts we all bring to this world, and most of all, blessing us with shalom, with peace. Together we say, Amen.
v'yisem lecha shalom. Shabbat shalom.
Good Shabbos, everyone.
Good Shabbos.
And thanks to Rabbi Reed and Shana for delivering us our challah. That's so nice.
Thank you. Yeah.
Tell Eli that we ate his challah that he made today. You're right.